Well, we have enough food for probably several more days if we had to, and we have water. But in terms of our cryo, which is our oxygen and hydrogen that we use to generate power and provide air and things like that, we plan to have enough for landing day plus 2 additional days to deal with any weather issues we might have. So we have plenty of margin to stay up here long enough to get the job done.
For Commander Lindsay and a couple of other crew members, tell us something about Discovery that we don't know. What are the quirks of this particular ship? Where does it make noises in the middle of the night? Did you find anything tucked in the compartments you didn't expect?
Well, the one thing I will tell you about Discovery is Discovery's been flying since 1984. This is her 39th mission into space. And we've been flying up here for 12, 13 days now, and there is not a single thing wrong with her. Every single system and every piece of every system is working just like it was brand new. And that's probably something people would be surprised to hear about a vehicle that's, I guess, over 25 years old.
You know, sometimes people who do renovation...
Well, and I think...
He's waiting for it.
Sorry about that. I think I'll continue along Steve's line there, and that in addition to the systems operating beautifully, you look around, whether you're on the flight deck or the mid-deck or even out into the payload bay and on the outside of the vehicle, and it really does look brand new. You get that sense that, you know, that maybe we're the first ones to travel on her, and we've tried to treat her well, and she certainly has done that for us.
And I think I was reading your mind there. I was thinking about people who renovate and restore old vehicles and keep them in really pristine condition. Well, that's Discovery, but she doesn't just look good. In order to fly into space and do the mission that Discovery does, she has to be really pristine and really perform well. And everything I've seen on this, my first shuttle flight, is that Discovery is just really at the top of her game and performing like a champ.
Commander Lindsay, that raises the question. There are Air Force tankers that are flying that are older than the crew members who fly them. If money and time were not factors, how much longer do you think Discovery could fly?
Well, that's a really good question, and I don't know. You know, we'd have to go back and look at and see what we would need to keep these vehicles flying a lot longer. I know, you know, prior to Columbia, we were talking about flying shuttles through 2020 to 2025. We'd probably have to go back and look at the systems, recertify the systems, make sure everything was okay, probably do some work on them. But it's really hard to say how long they could fly. It all depends on how much work you want to do on them. But I think we could fly them for a lot longer if, as you said, the resources and we didn't want to go in a different direction that we're doing now.
Anything that you would have liked to have done on this mission that you didn't get time to do?
I think probably the one thing that I think everybody that comes off of every flight is you can't get enough window time. You can't get enough time looking at the Earth. It doesn't matter how many times you've gone around the Earth, and I have some veterans here with me that have spent 3 to 6 months on orbit. You never get tired of looking at the Earth, and it seems like on these missions you're so busy you never get enough time, enough passes to actually you know, really get good looks all over the Earth. And so that's something I think we always come back wishing we had done more of.
Let me ask you a secret. Are you guys going to leave any secret messages tucked into compartments aboard Discovery for the folks at the Smithsonian to find?
No, we're not going to do that. We want to leave Discovery exactly as she was, so that when people have an opportunity to visit Discovery someplace where all the public can go see Discovery, we want the public to see her as we saw her.
And what's it going to say on the plaque at Smithsonian about Discovery's accomplishments in history, in your view?
I don't know what the plaque is going to say, but hopefully it will talk about Discovery's legacy as a great ship of exploration, as a great spacecraft, as a class of spacecraft with capabilities of lifting people and loads and returning them from space, unmatched by anything else that we've ever seen. A versatility that's unmatched of anything else we've ever seen in space, and probably unmatched for a long time to come. So hopefully it will say something about that. But more importantly, hopefully it will talk about not the crews, not us, but talk about the entire space shuttle team that spans across the country for these past 30 years that have allowed this to happen. You see us in space, we're visible, but it takes a team of thousands and thousands and thousands of people to keep this vehicle running, to allow it to execute the complex missions that we do with it. And so hopefully the legacy will be more about the people than anything else.
Last thoughts when you bring it in tomorrow. What are you going to be thinking?
I think as a crew, what we'll be thinking as we're coming in is we'll be pretty focused on doing that and doing it right. And so we're going to concentrate on our jobs just like we should. Make sure we don't miss any steps. Make sure we do everything exactly right and bring it in as safely and successfully as possible. After we land, that'll be the time which we'll reflect. And I suspect sitting on the runway, I'll be sitting in my seat when we do the last switch throw, and it's time for me to get out. And I don't think I'm going to want to leave my seat.
Well put. Safe return, folks. ABC done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Discovery, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the ABC News portion of the event. Please stand by for a voice check from CBS News.
Discovery, good morning. This is CBS News at the Kennedy Space Center. How do you hear me?
Discovery, how's you? Loud and clear. How us?
Sound great, and good morning. This is Peter King along with Bill Harwood, and we've got a whole slew of questions for you, so we'll get right to it. Commander Lindsay, you've probably said, and we've probably reported everything that can possibly be said about this being the last flight for Discovery. For somebody who flies these things for a living, how hard is it to retire a spacecraft that seemingly has a lot of life left in her? Your emotions right now.
I guess it's very it's going to be sad when it's over, when we land tomorrow or the next day. I guess the hardest part of this for me is giving up the capability, because if you really look at what this spacecraft does, it can do everything except leave low Earth orbit. It's a science laboratory. We can dock with space stations. We helped build this. We did build the U.S. segment of the U.S. OS section of the International Space Station with these vehicles, hauled cargo and people up and down with up mass and down mass that's unmatched anywhere. We deployed the Hubble Space Telescope with this vehicle. It starts out its life as a rocket, becomes an orbiting laboratory or a docking vehicle, maneuverable spacecraft on orbit, and lands like an airplane. And that capability is unmatched anywhere, and probably will be unmatched for many, many, many years to come. And so giving up all of that capability and the amazing versatility of this spacecraft is what's most difficult for me, and probably for everybody that's working on the program.
And along those lines, for Nicole Stott, with so much uncertainty right now in the future of U.S. human spaceflight, what are your concerns, and what are the things that most excite you about what's ahead?
Well, I think from the concern standpoint right now is just, I think we're still in this phase of really defining what the next steps are going to be. And, I look forward to seeing what that is. I hold real hope that we'll be challenging ourselves. We'll be doing, big things and going out of low Earth orbit. I would love to see us go back to the moon. I don't know if that's in the plans or not. But, I hope that what will be happening is a challenge, and will be and will be taking us places, as much as what vehicles like Discovery and the Space Shuttle have done for us, and that will be, learning all kinds of new things. And I think that's what makes it exciting as well, is that, there's plenty of opportunities out there, and we're a great country that has done really, really amazing things with our space program, and I really just hope that will continue.
Guys, it's Bill Harwood. Let me ask a couple if I can, and I'm going to keep with the Discovery theme, obviously. I think a lot of people, your mission is the first really concrete sign that the beginning of the end is finally here for this program. And for Mike Barrett, what do you say to the workforce and really to all Americans on the eve of this final landing for Discovery and, of course, the 2 flights coming up?
Well, hey, Bill, it's a great question. I think about this space shuttle fleet like the Clipper ships that were strong and fast and powerful. They did their jobs, but they were also graceful and beautiful, and they conjured up imagination of foreign travel, exotic places, of exploration. And Discovery is just an elite member of this elite fleet. And when the Clippers faded, it was because there was an alternative. There was another ship that was coming in, steam power that was stronger, faster, perhaps, not quite as beautiful. We don't have that yet. We have the legacy of the Clippers in our shuttle fleet, and it's a legacy that everybody who's ever touched these vehicles should be extremely proud of. I think the only problem area there is that we don't have that follow-on. We're not replacing the shuttle with something, and I think that's what makes it a little bit sad for us. But make no mistake, when we bring Discovery home, it's a time to celebrate. I mean, the legacy that this spaceship has made for herself is just nothing more than cause for celebration. She's returned so much science, so much experience, and the experience that we have crew members have had has just been marvelous, and is, again, just something that our country should be very, very proud of.
When you talk to folks who've worked on the shuttle over the years, there's almost a sense of disbelief that it's come to this, that the agency's been told to give up a very mature operational vehicle, arguably, as the commander said a moment ago, the most capable spacecraft ever built, in favor of less ambitious vehicles that have not yet been designed or tested. Do any of you guys resent the way this has played out, or is it simply the shuttle's time to go?
Well, that's a tough question to answer. Obviously, we have a vision, or we're looking at expanding out of low Earth orbit, and so the objective, as part of retiring the shuttle, the plan was to go out of low Earth orbit, and from what I'm seeing so far, that's what we still intend on doing. So, to go there with the budget and what we have right now, we really can't afford to do all of that, and so to take the next step and get out of low Earth orbit, we have to go to a different type of vehicle to do that. And so it's sad to give this kind of capability, although I think someday in the future we'll probably have similar capability. I don't know when that would be, but I really strongly believe in the next step, as Nicole mentioned earlier, to try to get out of low Earth orbit, go to an asteroid, go to the moon, or get out and explore the solar system. We do need a new vehicle for that.
Thanks. And let me ask Nicole a question. Nicole, you worked on the shuttle at the Kennedy Space Center before you joined the astronaut corps. You know better than most what an amazing machine Discovery is, and the other 2 orbiters. What are, as you look out the window here on your last full day in space aboard a shuttle anyway, what are your thoughts on the eve of this final landing for Discovery?
Well, I think certainly there are the thoughts of bringing this vehicle to wheel stop on the runway for the last time. But like Steve mentioned earlier about the team that's associated with this. I think that's really what I'm going to be thinking about is, and I have been as I look out the windows. I feel really, really blessed to have had the opportunity to not only work on Discovery and the other orbiters on the ground, but also to just have this opportunity to look out the windows and appreciate it from the inside as well. And I think thanks has just continued to come to mind for me. Thanking the people on the ground who have taken such meticulous care of these vehicles, and it's in their bones. This is a passion for them. This is not just, I go to work every day. It really is a heart and soul kind of thing. And, I think that's what is coming down to for me is thinking about that and appreciating just how much has gone into this by, this wonderful team of people that has taken such good care of these vehicles.
It's Peter King again, and this question is for Eric Bowe. You've got kids, and down the line, maybe some grandchildren on the way, who will only know about the space shuttle from history books and from video and things on the Internet. Maybe you'll take them to see Discovery at the Smithsonian or wherever it winds up. What will you tell them about what it was like to fly the space shuttle?
Well, I'll tell them that Discovery and the space shuttle fleet is a dream machine. It's just amazing what this vehicle can do. It can launch like a rocket, go into orbit, change it into a spacecraft, and then land as a hypersonic airplane on entry. And what's amazing is just how well she sails. And it's an honor and privilege for all of us to get the chance on our final voyage.
To the crew of STS-133, Bill and I both thank you. I think it's really hard for us to believe that this is your last flight, but it's been an absolute pleasure to cover and watch over the years. Have a safe trip home, and we'll see you back here at Kennedy tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Discovery, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the CBS News portion of the event. Please stand by for a voice check from the Associated Press.
Discovery, this is the Associated Press. How do you hear me?
Loud and clear.
This is Marcia Dunn speaking to you from Kennedy Space Center, where the skies are clear today. For Commander Lindsay, wow, a tribute from William Shatner and live wake-up music today. The whole country seems to be watching Discovery's last flight. I'm wondering, can you sense all the attention that's going on down here, and what's the mood up there for you like? And is it all sadness, or please elaborate?
Well, as far as the attention Discovery is getting on the ground, honestly, I have no idea about that. We get a little bit of news up here. I haven't had time to read it for several days, so we've been focusing on doing our job. So as far as what's going on in terms of attention, I have no idea. What we're feeling is we're obviously in our last day of orbit, and we're getting taking every chance we can to look out the windows. So we're kind of sad that this is the last day. We wish we could have a few more days, but it's time for us to come home. But we're mostly enjoying this last day, getting ready for entry, looking out the windows, and just thinking about the great experience we have and the success of our mission. And we're getting ready now to focus on this final task we have tomorrow, which is to do the deorbit prep safely, enter safely, and then land. And I think once we land, then we'll all have time to really reflect on what we did, and that we got to fly this final flight of Discovery, which is truly an honor for all of us.
Well, I know you have a tribute of your own coming up to Discovery in several more minutes, but perhaps one of you could wax poetic right now what your thoughts are about Discovery and all three space shuttles as the program draws to a close.
Turn it on. Okay. I've been volunteered to wax poetic, and I don't do it so well. We've been talking about Discovery retiring and the fact that there really isn't a replacement for the space shuttle. And I kind of look at it that just as nowadays we look back at the shipwrights of the 18th and 19th century, and we look at the ships they built, and we still ask questions as to how they did it and how those ships managed to stay at sea for so long and be successful. And I think when they do get around to building another vehicle that is as capable as the space shuttle, they're going to look back and ask a lot of questions. How in the world did the engineers and technicians and the maintenance people manage to make these vehicles so incredible that they're still flying after 39 missions and 25 years? It's pretty amazing. And I think that's really going to be the long-term legacy of this vehicle.
Thank you. Along those lines, for anyone on board, do you expect the shuttle program one day to be revered as much as the Apollo Moon program is today?
I guess it's my turn to wax poetic. Yes, I believe indeed. When I talk to the Apollo astronauts, the Mercury and Gemini astronauts, they talk to us with amazement. They look at the complexity of the missions we do now in space, and they can't believe that they said they never did anything nearly as difficult or complex as what we were doing with the shuttle. And like Steve said, we won't do anything nearly as complex with another vehicle for a very long time. Even if we started today to try and build a replacement shuttle, it might take 15 to 20 years to get there. There's just been nothing more capable out there to do it. So I think that 5 or 10 years from now, they're going to look back and go, how did we ever build a vehicle that could do all these things? This was a pretty bold and audacious thing to put together back in the 1970s, and I just don't know that we have that audacity now to build something nearly as ambitious as the shuttle is.
Al, if you could keep the mic for a moment, what do you expect it will be like for you to be part of Discovery's historic return to Earth tomorrow and to be walking away from the ship one last time?
To be honest, like our commander said, I've been more focused on just getting through the mission here and making sure that we have a safe and effective return from orbit back to Earth to cap off a successful mission. I'll probably give more thought once we're done, when we'll wheel stop on the runway, about the legacy of Discovery and the legacy of this particular mission. But I just don't have a whole lot of deep thoughts about it right now.
Dr. Barrett, you were so eloquent a few days ago describing all the historic voyages of the ships named Discovery. Put that in perspective for me again, if you will. How will Space Shuttle Discovery stack up against all the other discoveries from ages past, do you think?
Well, that's a great question. There have been ships named Discovery for over 4 centuries, and they've been captained by great people like Henry Hudson and John Clerk, who was on Captain Cook's second voyage. Robert Falcon Scott had a Discovery going to the Antarctic. And I think everybody knows that our shuttle fleet was named after great ships of exploration. We wanted to carry on that heritage, the legacy of that name, and I think this Discovery has done that with flying colors. And she retires with all of the honors and dignity due any of those ships that made great discoveries. So I think we salute Discovery in that way, with all the accolades that she deserves. But it also lays out a challenge. What will be the next ship named Discovery? The next ship to bear this name hopefully will go further than this one and make every bit as much of a contribution to history and to Discovery as this ship.
Thank you. For anyone on board, Discovery is promised to the Smithsonian Institution, but the decision on where the other shuttles go will be coming up next month. Do any of you wish you were doing the picking, and do you have any recommendations to give in that regard?
I'm really thankful personally that I'm not doing the picking, because there are so many good choices across the country. So I don't really want any part, and I'm not going to make a recommendation. The only thing I would say about that is I hope that Discovery is displayed in such a way that the entire public can see Discovery as we see her, and as the people that have worked on her at Kennedy Space Center see her, from the maintenance to the engineering to the design. And also, from our perspective, from the cockpit, what it was like in the cockpit, what it was like to live and work on a space shuttle with 6 or 7 people in what's a fairly small space, and how we operated, all the things we did with it. So what I hope is that wherever it's displayed in such a way that the public can see the shuttle through the various lenses of all of the thousands of people across the country that worked on the Space Shuttle program, and get a true picture of what it was like to work on this vehicle, to operate this vehicle from the ground, and to operate this vehicle from the cockpit as we have.
Well, I'll wish all of you Godspeed, and Godspeed to Space Shuttle Discovery as she heads home one last time.
Thank you very much.
Discovery, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the event. Thank you.
Thank you, ABC News, CBS News, and the Associated Press. Discovery, we are now resuming operational audio communications.
Copy.
Hey, Pinto, we're going to lose you here in about 45 seconds for about 16 minutes. We'll catch you on the other one.
Okay.
This is Mission Control, Houston. Once again, that was ABC News, CBS News, and the Associated Press talking with the crew of Discovery on board the flight deck as that 6-member crew gets ready to come back to the Kennedy Space Center tomorrow. We're going to be losing communication with Discovery for about 15 minutes, coming up in about 30 seconds. And then we will pick them back up